Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Emergency Management Associates. My name is Ron Tyler. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off with a tribute to the United States military and the United States of America. We're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask that everyone please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it. America's finest right there.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, appearing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The Barbershop Quartet Convention hosts given us a Pledge of Allegiance, and we want to thank them for that. This is one of the greatest groups that have been brought forth out of the military to sing the national anthem for us. And the host giving us a Pledge of Allegiance, that is icing on the cake. We want to thank all of our military servicemen and women, wherever they might be, here in the United States or abroad. We want to thank all of our allied armed forces as well. It doesn't matter whether you're from Britain, Romania, Switzerland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway. It doesn't matter whether you're from Japan or Australia. We want to thank all of our armed forces wherever they might be. God bless you, and may you all return home safely after your tours of duty end. We want to thank you, and thank you for your service. Folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight. A lot. If you have not already seen our earlier program, I encourage you to watch it. We were on the air just after 12 noon today. There was a huge fire that broke out in Hawaii about midnight Monday night, early Tuesday morning, yesterday morning. That fire has broken into 3 separate fires. Those fires have somewhat converged, although not completely. Those fires have completely taken out a town called Linnea Estates. The whole town's gone. It was the bustling downtown area of Maui, Hawaii. Gone. Reduced to ashes. I encourage you highly to go watch that program. It has a lot of video that you need to see. Everybody needs to see. Now, with that said, I am going to show you excerpts of a news conference from earlier this afternoon after our program got off the air. Watch this.
Here on our island, we have had
This is the
13
mayor of Maui.
evacuations from different neighborhoods and towns. So we've had 16 road closures. We've opened 5 shelters, and we've, as a result of that, our west side of our island, Lahaina area was cut off. Only one road was able to be traveled in and out. Power was out to 2,628 vehicles customers. There was no power at our hotels or even at the shelters that we opened out on that side. I'm sad to report that just before coming on this, it was confirmed we've had 6 fatalities that we were able to confirm, and we are still in a search and rescue mode, and so I don't know what will happen to that number. We've had many dwellings, businesses, structures that have been burnt, many of them to the ground, mostly in our Lahaina neighborhoods in our Lahaina area. We've had also, I should have added, multiple school closures. We are grateful to the DOE for allowing us to use their facilities here in Maui County to be able to house folks. We have over 2,100 people in shelters. Within those shelters I mentioned to you, and several that are unaccounted for in the sense that they are in their cars and did not come into the actual shelter. We are grateful again for the assets that have been sent over to us by the state, our federal partners, our county partners and allies. We are grateful for the outpouring of assistance. At this time, we are continuing the battle of fire. We now have helicopters that were unable to get up in the air yesterday that are now using water drops to help suppress the fire. That's the latest information from Maui County. Thank you again for allowing us to address you. I would like to first thank the Lieutenant Governor as well as the Adjutant General for arranging this joint press conference. We know there's lots of interest in what's going on in our county, and I'd like to update everyone. As a result of 3 fires that have occurred that are continuing here on our island, we have had 13 evacuations from different neighborhoods and towns. We've had 16 road closures. We've opened 5 shelters, and we've, as a result of that, our west side of our island, Lahaina area was cut off. Only one road was able to be traveled in and out. Power was out to 2,628 vehicles customers.
Okay, you've heard the rest of it. I thought they were going to let us play a good majority of the news conference. Apparently not, and that's all right, because I'm going to give you a highlight of that news conference. Okay. Again, 6 people have been confirmed dead. They have not been able to do a complete accounting of people that were either evacuated, left the area, stayed in their cars, or wherever they may have gone. They don't have a complete accounting. The town of Lahaina is gone, completely reduced to rubble. Evacuations are still underway across the big island of Hawaii and Maui as wildfires prompted rescues and even spurred some to jump into the ocean to escape, as they did last night over in Lahaina. A Lahaina eyewitness described the apocalyptic scene yesterday in Lahaina town, where residents were forced to jump into the harbor waters to avoid fast-moving flames from a massive brush fire that destroyed much of the historic area, and it continues to burn. Buildings on both sides of Lahaina Main Street were engulfed in flames. There were no fire trucks at that point. I think the fire department was overwhelmed, according to a business owner, Alan Dickar, who told Hawaii News Now. He said the most important business street on Maui is gone. Hawaii's Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke called the wildfires burning on Maui, quote, "This is an unprecedented issue. The state is facing severe challenges to fight the flames. 3 fires are continuing to burn. When we deal with hurricanes and disasters, following hurricanes, we're usually dealing with heavy rain, we're dealing with flooding. The fact that we have wildfires in multiple areas as a result indirectly from a hurricane, which is Dora, which is 500 miles to the south, is unprecedented. It's something that Hawaii residents in the state have not experienced before. Residents say an overwhelmed fire department. Over 100 firefighters are on the ground fighting flames all day amid powerful winds. Firefighters are on 24-hour shifts. They could do little as flames rip through the historic community of Lahaina, destroying dozens of homes and businesses. Businesses have not been accounted for yet. No one knows whether all of the businesses have burned to the ground, but we believe from helicopter shots above and from the fire area that the entire downtown has been destroyed. Eyewitnesses again described an apocalyptic scene yesterday in Lahaina town. Again, residents were forced to jump into the harbor waters to avoid the flames. They couldn't do anything else. Onlookers said they couldn't believe the worst natural disaster in Hawaii's history was hitting them in the forehead. Governor Josh Green was in Boston on a trip, both business and pleasure. He's on his way back from Hawaii now, and he should be arriving here sometime about, I want to say, 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, which would be midnight Hawaii Standard Time. He cut his trip short by a week. Richard Olstein, a helicopter pilot who flew over Lahaina town today, Wednesday morning, said much of the historic town appears to be gone. It's like an area was bombed. It's like a war zone, he said. Maui County says 3 active wildfires continue to burn, with over 100 firefighters trying to battle the flames. Firefighters weren't able to use helicopters yesterday, Tuesday, because of high winds that were generated from that huge hurricane that's passing 500 miles to the south. Now, with that said, I want to show you how that could have happened, how it could very well have happened. Folks, that hurricane is now 500 miles to the southwest, and as it continues to churn, the outer bands of the hurricane, the outer bands, we've talked about this before, the outer bands of the hurricane are churning out there. And in churning out in the ocean, it's forcing the winds of the hurricane to draw air out of the surrounding area. In drawing the air out of the area, folks, what is going on? It's drawing the air out of the Hawaii Island area, which is bringing in huge winds, generating 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. Okay? That hurricane is pulling air out of the surrounding area, which is forcing those winds. Now, winds are going to die down supposedly tonight. That's what we hope. within the next 2 to 3 hours, about 6 p.m. tonight, Hawaii Standard Time, they expect the winds to be settled down. And at 6 p.m. tonight, they expect to drop the red flag fire warning. Red flag fire warning only means that 1, there's a condition for fire. 2, low humidity. 3, high winds. And 4, the variability for a fire to start. They've already got 3 fires going. So that red flag warning is one simple thing. No smoking, no fires are recommended anywhere near this area. And 3, to stay alert. To stay alert. If you see a fire, talk about it. Now, with that said, you cannot reach and telephone call the local police. It's impossible. Number 1, the cell towers are down. The police have asked everybody who is watching this program or anything over in Hawaii to text the police. Text 911 to report your information. The phones probably won't get answered for quite some time. Text your information to 911. Most cell towers are down. There are a bunch of fiber optic cables that were destroyed in the fire as a direct result of the fire, meaning there has to be an assessment of the damage to those fire optic cables. The cable towers themselves lasted power for about 24 hours, but the cell towers were also damaged because of the fire. So there is no cell service out there. You may be able to text message people that you need to talk to. If for any reason other than wanting police where you have to text 911, it's best to completely stay off your cell phones. You can use your cell phones possibly for GPS if you have that capability. You can use your cell phones to obtain personal information, but stay off the telephone lines. If the cell phone does work, you have cell service, stay off the phone. Why? Because law enforcement, fire, and paramedics need to be able to access those same cell towers, and there's not that much bandwidth left because of the fire. Stay off your cell phones and allow first responders the use of the bandwidth. Stay off your cell phones. Do not make any calls except to 911, and they're asking everybody to text message 911 because the 911 service is not going to be answered. Okay? So there's that. Now, I will be answering questions. I will take some questions in a few minutes, but I want to get this information out. Now, someone asked about magma on the island. There is a volcano on the island, but it is somewhat extinct. It's had very few tremors or even any earthquakes around it for many, many years, even now. Okay? So magma has nothing to do with this situation with this fire. Again, Maui County says there's 3 active wildfires that are continuing to burn. Okay? Firefighters were not able to use helicopters to douse the flames yesterday because of the high winds, and the helicopters have gone up today. Maui, I believe, has had 1 or 2 helicopters. The U.S. government, with the military, has pulled in a Sikorsky helicopter to drop water from Oahu, and 2 more are coming from the Big Island, and they are in the area. Okay? The Air Force has that one from Oahu, and 2 more are coming from the Big Island. They're on loan from the Air Force to drop water. More than 2,100 people were housed overnight at the county's 4 emergency shelters: Maui Preparatory Academy in Napili, Maui High School in Kaulului, and the War Memorial Center and the Hannibal Tavares Community Center in Pukalani. Now, besides that, this morning there were over 2,000 people at the Maui airport. They were housed in the Maui airport because there are no other hotels available in Maui. Authorities are asking everyone, if you're a tourist, you need to leave Maui. You're instructed to leave Maui. By now, there's another 2,000 to 3,000 more people that have come in on planes, and the airlines have made a lot of advances to make sure you get off of Maui. If you're stranded on Maui, you need to leave. Go to Oahu or the Big Island. If you go to the Big Island, you're going to be staying at the convention center. The convention center on the Big Island will house 4,000 guests temporarily. You can get hotels over on the Big Island. You can get hotels over on Oahu. You will not be staying on Maui for at least a while. Now, with that said, there are now 20 people who have suffered serious burns in the wildfire. Several have been airlifted to Oahu. 3 are in critical condition in the Straub Medical Center burn unit in Maui. The state plans to fly in more doctors and nurses as needed. Also, the hospitals are overwhelmed with burn patients. The hospitals are overwhelmed with burn patients. If you are a doctor or a nurse, I am suggesting that you call Straub Medical Center in Maui and see if you're needed in Maui. Other than that, you can call the medical centers on Oahu and see if you're needed there or over on the Big Island. Right now, they are strapped for doctors and nurses. So if you're a doctor or a nurse, you may want, and you have the ability to go to Hawaii, to the Big Island or Oahu, I would ask that you call those medical centers to see if your services are needed there. Okay? 3 people, like I said, are in the critical burn unit at Straub Medical Center on Maui. A bunch of others, 20 others, have been shipped to either Oahu or over to the Big Island to the medical centers there. The state plans to fly 4,000 tourists out of Maui today to Oahu. They will be put up at the Hawaiian Convention Center. Authorities said at least 2,000 people were waiting at Kahului Airport this morning, and they had spent the night last night in the airport. Tens of thousands of people across Maui are without power after high winds downed more than 30 poles and flames destroyed even more infrastructure. Cell service is also non-existent in some places except for those with satellite phones. There is a hotel on the west side of the island that has satellite phones, what we call sat phones. They are helping first responders get people out of that area and helping first responders helping with this fire. As of yet, that hotel has not been named. If it was named, I would give them full credit for what they're doing. What they're doing is past a yeoman's duty. It's awesome that these people stepped up to help their fellow man. Some fiber lines, like I said, were destroyed in the fire. There has to be a complete assessment done before cell service can be returned to normal. Cell towers on wheels are going to be brought in after the fire is out, but not until the whole scene can be rendered safe. Cell service could be a month or more out until cell service is normally being returned. Many flights into Maui from the mainland has been canceled. Travelers are being urged to check with your carrier before going to your airport. Do not board a flight intending to go to Maui at least for another week or so. Make sure you check with your airlines. Flights have been canceled into Maui, and you may see some flight cancellations into Oahu or into Hilo, Hawaii. Check your carrier before going to the airport. At least 14 people had to be rescued from waters off Lahaina on Tuesday night, last night, after jumping into the water to escape the raging wildfire. Authorities confirm among them 2 children were reunited with their families. Now, with that all said, while I have everyone's attention, you also can prevent forest fires. You also can help prevent wildfires. You also can help prevent your own home being destroyed by wildfires. And I'm going to tell you how right now. It's time to be checking your own homes and your property to make sure your property, your home, and your life and family are going to be safe from fire. Bushes need to be trimmed down. Lawn areas, grass, must be kept watered and short. Rake off any leaves from your property, especially the leaves in or around your home. Make sure that area is bone clear of leaves and other debris. Make sure the siding of your house is stable. Make sure that if a fire does come, that your house will be able to retard the fire. Make sure your roof is in good condition. Make sure your gutters are also in good condition. Now, while I'm mentioning gutters, all of us need to get up on our ladders and check to make sure the gutters are clear of leaves and other debris. The last thing you want to do is have a flying ember torch the leaves in your gutter and light your house on fire. I've seen it happen. I saw it happen in Park City about 5 years ago. There were leaves in a gutter. A small ember from a fire 10 miles away floated through the air and lit some leaves on fire at a resort in Park City. Myself and other emergency management people at that facility and other facilities called the fire department, because before the fire department could even get there, guess what? Those leaves were past smoldering, for lack of a better word. They actually started on fire and ignited the eaves above and to the inside of that gutter and lit the roof on fire. Firefighters had to use a ladder and spray that entire area to put the fire out. And again, that ember floated for 10 miles. Hot embers can flow a very long distance. Make sure your gutters are clean. Clean of dead leaves. Make sure your trimmings from your bushes and trees are away from your house and tossed out. Keep your trash picked up. Don't leave anything out on your lawn that could catch fire and be blown around in the wind. These fires even start their own weather systems. And these fires starting their own weather systems could kick up your lawn furniture, anything else is out there, and throw it around. Even throw it through the glass of your house, which would ignite if that piece of furniture, whatever, is thrown around and breaks through the glass and could ignite the inside of your home. Keep tabs on your home. Continually do a little bit of a home assessment every day. Are your roofs and gutters clean? Free of dead leaves and biological material that's there? Check the siding and make sure it's in good condition. And make sure your roof is in good condition as well. Does anybody have any ideas or questions that you would like brought up here? I've got a lot more material I can give you if you have questions. Does anybody have questions? Demon Catman was talking to a person named Raymond, asking about what is going on. It's a 3-hour flight to Hawaii. Yes, it is. I've been on a flight from San Diego to Hawaii before. And tourism there is there 365 days a week all year. I shouldn't say 365 days a week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Okay? But for now, Maui is off limits. Maui is off limits. There is no convention going on, no meetings going on. If anything was going on there on Maui, it's no longer there. We're going to have to reschedule it or be on another island. Does anybody have any questions? Ruth St. John is in her car traveling. Storm Rider says, what time of day did this start? It started in the middle of the night, Monday into Tuesday, when people were sleeping. Okay? When people were sleeping. People got woken up even this morning as fire continued to rage over on the western side of the island. 3:18 this morning, they got woken up by sirens and police and fire department bullhorns on their vehicle telling people to evacuate. And I'm sure that's exactly what happened last night as well. Carolyn Martin, who's here in the chat from Denver, Colorado, a dear friend of mine. She says, how do you turn off gas lines of a house if the neighborhood is burning? Go out to your, let me show you. For kicks and giggles, let's pretend that this is your gas meter. For all intents and purposes right now, for this explanation, this is the gas meter. Off to the side of the gas meter is a pipe that comes out like this. There's one pipe that goes down into the ground and also goes up into your gas meter. At that junction of the pipe coming into your gas meter and that pipe going up, there's a small shut-off valve. The valve is about that long. It could be anywhere from 1.5 inches to 2 inches in length. What you need to do, a pair of pliers or a wrench, or if you have a gas wrench that you could have bought at Home Depot or Lowe's or someplace else, get that. Put it on the side of that 1/2 to 2 inch long piece of metal there and move it like this. As long as the meter is on, that piece of metal will be up in an upright position just like this. If you need to shut off your gas meter for any reason, get that wrench, the pair of pliers, or whatever it is that you got to use and turn it to like this. When it's in the horizontal position, it means that your gas is off. Do not ever, never ever turn your own gas meter back on. Once it has been turned off, you need to call the gas company, your gas company, to turn it back on. If you turn it off, they need to make sure before they turn it back on there's no leaking gas anywhere. Leaking gas can cause a major fire. I've seen it over and over and over again. Again, the gas line coming out of the ground looks like this, looks up into the air just like this. It's connected to a pipe coming out of the gas meter that feeds gas into the meter. Okay? Right there at that junction, there is a valve. It's a metal valve about that long. A metal valve about that long. Get a wrench, a pair of pliers, or your gas wrench that you got from Home Depot or wherever. Put it on that piece of metal that's sticking straight up like this and turn it until it's horizontal like this. That will shut off your gas. Okay? If you think you have a gas leak, you smell gas inside your home, go outside, turn that valve off, and call the gas company and tell them you shut it off as a precaution. If you have a gas leak inside your home, you might also want to call the fire department to make sure you're going to be safe. Tell them you shut off the gas outside, but you want them to come and check your house out because you had gas leaking. They also might be able to help you find the source of the leak. Okay? Does anybody have any questions right now? Laura Marie, my dear friend from Oregon, is in the chat. She's asked this question that I'm going to ask you. Have your family members prepared to be able to bug out if needed, including your animals? Are you prepared to bug out right now yourselves, including your animals? That's an individual question everyone needs to answer. If you aren't prepared, why not? We've been talking about everyone having an emergency preparedness plan for a long time. A very, very, very long time. If you want to understand what goes into an emergency preparedness plan, it's simple. There's two things that you can do. Number one, below this video in the program description, you're going to find a link to our Emergency Management Associates channel. Go there. When you get to our website, go to the files sharing area. We have a lot of PDF documents there that can answer almost any question that you might have on what you need to do and what you need to have for an emergency. Okay? Simply put. And we talked about this week. We've talked about it for past weeks. I'm going to say it again. If you need to bug out, you need to have an emergency supply kit. All that information is also down in that program description in our website. You can get it there. If you go to our programs here on YouTube, any YouTube presentation that we have ever done, if it says preparedness, you need to review it. If that program here on YouTube says preparedness in the title, it means that particular program was geared to emergency preparedness. You need to go there and review each and every program. We've talked about emergency preparedness, emergency supply kits, emergency plans. Now, people have had to write emergency plans on the go because of what happened on Hawaii, over in Maui. Now, with that said, you don't want to have to write a preparedness plan on the go. There were many people that called me today. I can't tell you how many people called. There were that many people. They were asking me, Ron, we're here on Hawaii. They told us we have to leave. What do I need? Folks, go to our website. Evacuate your home as much as you possibly can right now. I cannot go and read to you or tell you what you need to bring. It's too late. And I told people that. Get out of your house, get out of there, evacuate. We've been talking about everybody having 3 bug out routes. 3 evacuation routes that you can take to get away from your house to go to someplace else that is even more safe, at least temporarily or for a long period of time. 3 separate evacuation routes. Why? In case one road is closed, you've got at least 2 more to get onto to get out of Dodge. Avoid major highways. There may be a roadblock by National Guard. There could be a police roadblock. You don't want to get involved with that. Take surface streets as much as possible to get out of your area. Use surface streets to get out of Dodge. They're going to be 1, safer, and 2, a lot faster. Why? Folks, we learned back before Hurricane Katrina and every hurricane since over in the Gulf Coast. Every time there's a hurricane, people are waiting to the last minute to evacuate. And what happens? There is an accident on the highway. Every time there's an accident on the highway, it backs traffic up to 1,000+ cars behind it. Usually it takes 2 or 3 accidents to completely shut the roadway down, where nobody's going anywhere. That's not a good place to be. What if your vehicle doesn't have enough gas, and all of a sudden you're waiting in a line behind one of those accident scenes and you run out of fuel? What are you going to do then? That's my simple question. What are you going to do then? We're asking everybody for quite some time now, do not let your vehicle get down to half a tank of gas. Always make sure your vehicle has at least a half a tank or better, preferably better. Keep your tanks as full as possible. 1, if there's a fire, if you have a full tank of gas, the gas tank is not going to immediately be turned to rubble or catch on fire. Full tanks of gas don't do that. Partially filled tanks of gas do. They could burst into fire. Why? Because there's air down there in the gas tank. Your tank is only partially full and the rest of it is air. Fuel and air are 2/3 of 3 things that could go wrong to start that fuel tank on fire. All it takes is a spark and your gas tank is gone, as well as your car. The car can turn into a BOMB and blow up. You don't want that to happen. Second, if you're on the roadway with a full tank of gas and that roadblock starts or that traffic accident begins, you're likely to be able to get past that accident scene with a full or a partial tank of gas at least. Don't get stuck on the highway with only a partial tank of gas. That could get you killed, that could get you injured, or that could make sure that you never get to where you want to go. Have a full tank of gas, guys. Have a plan, have evacuation routes. Third, you need to make sure you have at least 3 separate and distinct locations that you could possibly go to. Why? If one is closed down, guys, you have 2 others to get you to where you want to go. One might be closed down, but you might also have 2 others to use as a place to stay. Check with places like that before an emergency happens. And tell people that you want to go there in the event of an emergency in where you live. And ask them there, if there's an emergency, can I come up here to stay on your property, at your business, at your KOA camp, or whatever it is? You might have relatives. If you have relatives that you could drive to, ask them for permission to come to your home, to their home, in case of an emergency. That would even be better if you can get there. Like I said, you need to have 3 evacuation routes to any one place and plot them on a map. Make a map or get a map and then draw out your plans with a light colored marker. Okay? So you have evacuation plans, you have your emergency preparedness kit, including emergency medical kit, bandages and scissors and all kinds of gauze and other bandages. Mine is an EMT kit because I used to be an EMT police officer. I still have my kit. Okay? I advise everybody to have a medical kit. I've got things that you wouldn't have, and that's okay. My kit may not be for you and your kit might not be for me, but have your own. Laura Marie's here in the chat says, I have instructions for evacuation taped to my door. All she has to do is rip it off the door and walk out. When we were being threatened by wildfires, she realized how stressful and difficult it was to develop a plan in the middle of an emergency. And that's exactly what I am talking about. If you don't have a plan in the middle of an emergency, you're going to forget things that you need to have. i.e. some cash, keys, pictures, very important family pictures with you, pictures of your house and property inside, valuables. Take the valuables you can't even possibly think about losing. Of course, your children and your pets and food and water. Take it all. Take it all. Laura Marie knows how to do it. She and I have been friends for a very long time. She's been through stuff before. You all should be very experienced if you've been with me. Any of you have been with me for 4 years. A year ago this past April, it was 4 years. April, May, June, July, August. Nearly 4.5 years later, we're still talking about emergencies, evacuation plans, emergency preparedness plans, food storage, emergency supplies, everything. We're not going to stop talking about it. This is something you need to have every day, 365 days a year. Okay? Guess what? Your life won't be paradise if you don't have things you need to have in an emergency. Some of my things are downstairs near my front door. Others are just about 10 steps away from that front door that I can grab and leave. I can literally grab them and leave. You need to have those kinds of things, guys. I'm telling you. One of these days, I'm going to break down my emergency supply kit, my 72-hour kit, and show you exactly what things I have. You guys need to have those things too. Don't model your emergency prepared kit necessarily after mine. Make sure you have things that you need. Things that fit your way of life. Fit your body, your shoes, and everything. Okay? Make sure you have everything, guys. I'm just telling you. Does anybody have any questions about the wildfires in Hawaii, the evacuations, what happened there? Any questions? I will happily answer them right now. I took questions earlier on my first broadcast. Carolyn Martin says, picture of your bank statements. Absolutely. Insurance paperwork. Absolutely. Your medical paperwork. Your medical paperwork. Anytime you've got a jab, the date and time and what it was, make sure you have all that medical paperwork with you. Necessarily, I believe it's absolutely necessary that you put it in a plastic baggie. A large enough plastic baggie similar to this. I have my stuff in a large gallon-sized baggie for large paperwork. My birth certificate, medical information, my insurance paperwork. If you have a lease or you have ownership on your home, make sure you have the title deeds and everything else you need to have to identify you as a property owner. The person that has ownership of that property and everything in it. Make sure you have a copy of your driver's license and your birth certificate and everything in your kit. Keep your original driver's license in your wallet or your purse. Okay? Make sure you carry everything. And a wad of cash in your supply kit. Okay? My brother Don Patoka is here. He says, I'm not talking about prepping no more, as few do. And those that do already know it's too late when it's happening. You're right. It's absolutely too late when an emergency is staring you in the face. Make sure you're prepared now. Right now. And today is a good example of what we've been talking about. Okay? Laura Marie says, should people pack original documents in their bag, their bug-out bag, or copies? Copies in your supply kits. If you have a small safe, which I do, I put the originals in that safe, and I may take that safe with me. Okay? You don't want to lose your paperwork. You don't want to lose your paperwork. Make sure you have your keys to your house or anything else that you need to have. Keep it with you. Everything. Julie Healing Leaf says, you cannot think well when it's all of a sudden you learn, oh my gosh, I forgot this, I forgot that. Why not? Why did you? Don't put it off to the last minute. Have a plan. Everything written down. If you have everything written down like Laura Marie has done at her door, you can scan it. You can visually scan it and make sure you have everything you need for an emergency before you leave your house. Okay? Take pictures on your cell phone of everything you own. That way, if your home's destroyed or something is lost, stolen, or whatever, you can go back to your insurance company and say, this is what I had. And they'll write you a check to replace it. Pictures you can't replace. Make sure you have copies or take copies with you. If you have to take the pictures off the wall, take them off the wall. It's better that you have them than have them destroyed in a fire. Okay? Julia Healing Leaf says, I once had a tsunami alert. I found out last minute. Couldn't find cat is disoriented. I agree. Your cat's going to be disoriented, and so will you. Okay? And yes, cats climb. Cats climb. Any other questions? The one whom loves Jesus says, listening to Ron makes me want to get extra prepared, and I'm ready, but I never thought about important pictures if I have time to grab them. Put that into your emergency plan, the one that Jesus loves. Write an emergency preparedness plan. How many times have I said that over the last 4.5 years? If I haven't said it once a week, I've said it twice or 3 times each week. There hasn't been almost a day go by that I don't talk about emergency plans. Write it down now. Don't take another minute away from writing your emergency preparedness plan now, because your emergency might happen tonight or first thing in the morning. You need to have that information immediately. You can also revise it, add to it, change something, no problem. Your emergency preparedness plan is a living document. It can be changed and added to at any time. Okay? Julie Healing Leaf says, lesson I learned, important documents in backpack, having Ziploc bag, always know where keys and shoes are. Exactly. You might have a to-go bag attached to your bedpost or something. That way you don't have to even get out of bed in case there's been an earthquake and the window's broken, you have glass all over. You have slippers or a pair of shoes in a bag tied to the bedpost or whatever you have. You don't even have to lift or get out of bed to put your shoes on. The shoes are not going to have glass in it. The shoes are going to be able to help you walk out of the room that has glass on the floor. Okay? Julie's also talking about blankets. Make sure you have adequate blankets for every season. I sleep with blankets sometimes in my bed now during the summer. Okay? Make sure you have everything you need. Demon Cat says, remember clothes to protect you as silver blankets against your skin can burn. Those silver blankets, guys, are emergency blankets. Originally, they were made for NASA to help astronauts keep warm in space. You wrap them around yourself, and the blanket absorbs or reflects body heat and reflects it back at you. So you stay warm in those silver blankets. You can buy them for 90 cents to $3. 90 cents to $3 at a thrift store, or sometimes grocery stores, or even pharmacies have those blankets up on their shelves someplace. Emergency blankets. Okay? Storm Rider says, I change my go bag each season, summer to winter. Absolutely you should. Absolutely you should. Always keep up with your bag and what's in it. Any other questions? Any other questions? I've got a lot to talk about tonight. Raymond Roy Sr. says ham radio will work if you have power. Make sure you have backup batteries. Make sure you have backup batteries, everybody. You want to make sure your radios, your flashlight, and everything else works. Make sure you have backup batteries. How many times have I talked about that too? It's several dozen times every week. You guys must be tired of hearing my jowls jack. Guess what? I'm not going to stop. Sorry. I'm just not going to stop. I'm here to help people, to save lives. I'm here for no other reason but to help save people's lives, including yours and mine. When I talk about something, I pass it on to you. Passing on to you is a reminder for me to do the same thing, except my plan's written. My emergency preparedness kit is right here in front of me. It's in a great big huge carry kit, plastic in size. I can push it down the stairs and nothing will be ripped open or damaged. I can grab that and my emergency preparedness kit, 72-hour kit, and be gone. My go bag is right here beside me. My go bag is right here beside me, and I'm not leaving without it. Sorry, I'm always going to have it. I'm always going to have it. Julie Healing says maybe a floaty in bag. It could be. You could have a floaty bag. Nothing wrong with that, as long as everything in it stays dry. Carolyn Martin, non-perishable food, water, teepee, toilet paper, clothes, medicine, your prescriptions, medical things like tape, bandages, medical scissors, tourniquets. All kinds of things can go into your medical kit. Okay, documents. Documents can be put on a flash drive, which I have right here. See that? It's always with me 24/7. I leave this office, it goes in my pocket. I go to the bedroom, it stays in my pants pocket, and it hangs right next to me. Okay? A flash drive. Cash. Have a bundle of cash in one of those plastic Ziploc bags to keep it dry and keep it hidden in your emergency preparedness kit. Hygiene supplies. Hygiene supplies. Soap. A towel or two. A wash basin or a metal bowl. Blankets and bug spray. Food for your dog. Their favorite bed blankie. Don't forget that. Toys for your animal. If they've had medical vaccinations, make sure you take all that information with you. Take their water bowl, their food bowl. If they have special snacks that they like, make sure you have special snacks in the emergency preparedness kit to feed them and keep them occupied. You better never get your animal, your pet, your family member, your child angered because they don't understand what's going on. It would be just like having a 3 or 4-year-old that doesn't understand why they're bugging out. Mommy, where are we going? Mommy, Daddy, what's going on? Why are we leaving our house? Why did you pick me up out of my bed? And they're going to be crying, they're going to be screaming because they don't understand what's going on. You need to practice this bug out in your own home. Practice sleeping in a tent occasionally. Push the furniture in your front room away to the walls and plunk a tent in the middle of your playground living room. Put sleeping bags in there. Take your pets with you into the tent. Let them get used to tent camping. If you do, your children and your pets are going to be used to it. They're not going to be bellowing that they're caught in a tent with nowhere to go and nothing to do. Okay? Please, folks, don't forget your pets. I never again want to see a pet treading water during a hurricane that's fenced in to a kennel. Treading water in their kennel. Those dogs and cats could have died. If it wasn't for some alert Coast Guard personnel in one of those whale boats that they launched after hurricanes, guess what? Those animals would be dead. I've seen horses and goats. I've seen donkeys. I've seen chickens and dogs and cats. I have seen what am I talking? I've seen cows floating in water, just floating there. It's sad. I never want to see an animal dead like that because their owners forgot them, or their owners purposely let them be on their own. I've seen animals released and flee the fire. Animals released from their pens. Oh, have a nice day, guys. Hope you survive. Don't do that. Take your animals with you if at all possible. Do not tell me I don't have room for my animals. I'm taking my kids and leave. A lady 4 years ago told me that, and I scolded her on the air, whether she liked it or not. If you have animals, they are family members regardless. Make sure you take them with you. Make sure you take them with you. Now, I already said this on an earlier program today regarding this fire. Shelters are open. On this update, I told you about open shelters over on Maui. Shelters are open. They are allowing people in the shelters with pets if the pet is properly, safely restrained, either on a leash or in an animal carrier. Okay? Hotels are also allowing pets. I want to say probably 80% of all hotels allow pets now. There's no reason why you can't take your animals. Large animals, you can take them to a fairgrounds. There's always a fairground someplace that will take large animals. Okay? Animals and Humans Disaster. This is a good person now, guys. She and I have both been certified in Animals and Humans in Disaster. One whom Jesus loved warned, cats disappear and are hard to find when they're upset, and they're hard to catch. Like I said, you need to try to keep your animals calmed down. Yeah, they will be upset and they'll be very hard to find. They go hiding everywhere. You may not be able to find them. Don't take that chance. If you do not have a relationship with those cats, you will probably be ripped apart. Or you might not be able to find the animals. And then they'll be crap kicked without a paddle. Crap crick. Yeah, now I know I'm a redneck. I don't want to see animals drown or burn because someone left them behind. Okay? Julie Healing-Leaf says, worst part is not opening gates if you have to leave if you have time. You better open those gates. You need to open those gates. Okay? Don says if you're ever in a wildfire, hurricane, tornado, or an earthquake, you will have to be prepared. Next time if you live to talk about it. Next time if you live to talk about it. Many people don't. Folks, I went to Hurricane Katrina after the fact, the next day after it hit New Orleans. We stayed in the 9th Ward in a Homeland Security trailer where we worked our butts off, 12 hours on and 12 hours off. We camped in a tent beside the Homeland Security vehicle with radios and everything else inside. We camped out in tents. The ground was still somewhat soggy from having that hurricane go through. Yes, I had a ground pad, so my tent was not on mud. I dug a trench around the tent in case any water came up, that the water would be caught in the trench and filter away from my tent, so I would not become swamped. My partner in crime that was there with me did the same thing. All of them. Okay? Space Force Al said something I very much want to pass on to you. Do not adopt animals if you don't have any intention on keeping them safe. God and Ron require you to keep them safe. Yes, God, our Heavenly Father, and Uncle Ron want you to keep those animals safe. Okay? Michael McKinney says, what a mess. Oh, I totally agree. Thousands of people homeless over in Maui. Thousands of people without power. Thousands of people without a home to stay in right now. Okay? Demon Cat has a little information for us I'm going to share with you. Demon Cat's in our chat, one of our great mods. He says he's found the easiest way to get a cat in a carrier is to hold the front paws in one hand and the rear end in the other. This stops them from doing the star shape and saves time. Okay? It keeps the cat going into the carrier. Oh yeah, I've had to do that. Even if your dog is there, your dog is going to try to do the old escape-a-roo thing. You can do the same thing with your dogs. Okay? Any other questions? All I'm doing right now is trying to help you guys. It's been a hard day. I've been at this for, I don't even remember when I first started this today. I got a telephone call earlier this morning, and I've been on the go ever since. Okay? Nathan Hester is over in Mississippi. He sent us a gift in the mail. Some rocks. Indian artifact as well. Okay? He says, here in Mississippi I seen a deer whip. A full-size dog over a chicken bone one time. No lie. He's seen a deer whip a full-size dog over a chicken bone. Wow. Joaquin is asking what caused the fire. They believe it was lightning. There is no magma that heated that ground up and caught it on fire. They have a volcano there, and it's been extinct. There have been no tremors or anything at that volcano, and I honestly do not remember what the name of that volcano is. Let me check real quick. I think I have it here. Okay, I do have it. Now, I may not pronounce this right. I may not pronounce this right. This is a volcano. It's spelled Haleakala. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Haleakala. Haleakala volcano. Yes, I probably butchered that name too. This is a picture of the ground near the bottom of the volcano, and it's burning. It has nothing to do with magma. They do not know right now exactly what may have caused that blaze, this blaze. None of the fires do they have reason to know why it started. They're doing an investigation. The investigation has only begun as to what started that fire. Nobody knows right now. Okay? They believe it might have been lightning from one of the storms as a result of that hurricane. But like I said, that hurricane was far enough offshore to not worry about much of anything. But there was a storm prior to that. Could have been almost anything that caused that fire. It was not volcanic in nature. Now, folks, I have a lot more information than this, if you're ready. Okay? Julia Healing says satellite can tell. Folks, yes, we have satellites. But again, this is fairly recent fire. It started during the night in the middle of nowhere on Maui. They don't know how it started yet. It's just at the beginning of the investigation now. Jamie Wilkie says, hi, Ron. Welcome here, Jamie. We appreciate you being here. That volcano was on Maui, Hawaii. Every one of those islands, guys, began with a volcano eruption. That's how those islands became to be. Michael McKinney says, there in Southern California, we have fires started by lightning sometimes. Oh yeah, I've seen that happen many occasions. Many, too many. Julia Healing says, possibly cigarettes and trash can. No, this started out in the middle of nowhere. But again, they don't know why. They just honestly don't know why yet. They don't know why. I wish I did, really. I wish I knew why. They wish that. I don't think there's a day go by when these great people started fighting that fire. Some of the people, including the Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii, the Adjutant General, Mr. Joseph Haar, Adjutant General of the United States Army. Let me show you a picture of General Haar, just a minute. Okay? I'm going to get into Pacific Northwest seismos in just a minute. Let me show you a picture of General Haar. He's in charge of all the National Guard troops, and he's also one of many people that's guiding their emergency command post. I've got a picture of it. This is Major General Haar. This is Major General Har of the United States Army. Okay? When Kilauea erupted in 2018, he was put in charge of the National Guard troops that helped secure the area when Kilauea was erupting, and all those fires happened. He was in charge of that detail. Major General Har is a great friend as well. I've been involved in emergency preparedness with this man over the years, since 2005. Now he's in charge over in Hawaii. Okay? This is the man, along with the mayor of Maui, the county mayor of Hawaii, the police chief and fire chiefs, the emergency management team. They're all part of the emergency center A team. The A team. If they have a command post out on the fire lines, they have a command post supervisor or a captain. Doesn't have to be military, it could be a civilian person in charge of the command post. But this guy is over at the Emergency Operations Center. Okay? With the Lieutenant Governor right now, soon to be Governor Josh Green, who's coming back from Boston right now as we speak. He should be arriving sometime about midnight Hawaii time, sometime around 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Daylight Time. Demon Cat says, well done, Julie. Glass is good at starting fires. I agree. You can use a piece of glass like a magnifying glass, and it'll start fires almost all the time. Okay? Julie Healy says that a whole fire area burned near Santa Rosa fires. Oh yeah, it did. All kinds of stuff burned that time. Okay? People hiking, throwing beer bottles out of windows. You know, I get pissed off about that. Throwing trash that cannot be recycled out there in the middle of nowhere. It's on the ground, broken glass. It can cut somebody. It can also start a fire. Smoking. I don't smoke for a very good reason. I don't want to, number one. Number two, health reasons. Number three, I think it's a dirty habit to start. The Saran man here won't do it. Promise you, never happen. Not in my lifetime or yours. Not gonna happen. Nathan Hester says, Ron, is NASA Firms app accurate? Most of the time it is. Now, I will tell you, today I haven't even gone there. I've been too busy putting things together, gathering information for you, making sure I'm fulfilling an order that I got from Hawaii Operations Center. That's why I went on the air earlier today. Number one, a friend notified me. Two, I got in touch with Hawaii, the Operations Center, Emergency Operations Center. They told me, if I can, to put the information on the air, which I did. And I'm asking everybody. I've got the information on the air now. I gave you an update. This morning, I did a broadcast with all the emergency information that you could possibly need at the time. It may still be valuable for you. Okay? Joaquin Romer says, caused by satellite, I think? No. No. Not this case, no. Michael McCain says, I'm a pipe and cigar man myself, but I never had any around dry vegetation. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Pacific Northwest seismic areas, the volcanoes. Okay? Now, I'm first starting at Mount Baker. This seismogram is from not Shook. Yes, it is. It's from Mount Baker. Shuksan Ski Resort at Mount Baker. Look at it closely. Okay? This Shuksan seismogram is the HHN channel. This is a multi-channel seismograph. Multi-channel seismograph. Why did I pick this? Because, folks, guess what? The Pacific Northwest Seismic Network has taken down the main seismogram. The seismograph has been turned off, or that channel has been turned off for quite some time. At least 2 months that I know of. So we don't have access to the main seismogram from Mount Baker. This is an alternate, it always has been. This is the VLF channel. Why? Because with this channel here, with this particular seismogram, we can tell what happened at Mount Baker for the last 24 hours. The top of it starts at 5 p.m. yesterday. Look at the VLF lines, the wavy lines. Those wavy lines are caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. Very low frequency waves, that's why they call it VLF. Very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. You notice yesterday afternoon, it was pretty active. Then it calmed down for a time, several hours. Then by 11 p.m. last night, you can see 23 over on the left-hand side. 23 is 11 p.m. Just before 11 p.m., maybe even 10 p.m., it started getting worse. The VLF lines became very ornery, if you will. They became very wavy. Okay? When that happens, that means a lot of magma is coming into the magma chamber at this volcano. Look how much. Tons of magma coming into this magma chamber. For 2 months at least, we have not gotten a decent, seismogram from Mount Baker because the agency refuses to give it to us. They refuse. One other seismogram that I wanted to show you is FUBAR'd. It's been FUBAR'd for months now. Okay? Baker-Kendall seismogram is not honest. It's been screwed up, human manipulation to the max. This is the only decent seismogram that we have. This shows a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. What happens when that happens? When there's a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber? It's under pressure, isn't it? Magma is under pressure coming into the volcano, which causes the magma to fracture rocks inside the volcano chamber. The fracturing rock causes earthquakes. So folks, you know from this seismogram by itself that this volcano is active. Very, very active. It always has been, regardless of whether Pacific Northwest Seismic Network or any other network says no, it's not. This says it is. This seismogram says it is. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber, fracturing rock, causing earthquakes at Mount Baker. A lot of them. When you get this much VLF wave activity, there's a lot of magma fracturing rocks. Anytime that happens, there's going to be minor tremors and or earthquakes. Now, I tried to get Glacier Peak. Let me show you Glacier Peak right here. Okay, this is Glacier Peak. Okay, Glacier Peak is about 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker. Look what's happening here. Again, the seismogram started at 5 p.m. yesterday. Okay, you see some seismic activity early on yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening. Over on the over on the left on the blue line, that is a seismic signal there. signaling an event that happened at this volcano. What happened? There was at least a tremor. Now, I do not have any magma churn signals, which would indicate very hot, steamy hot magma, very scalding magma, 2,000 to 5,000 degrees high, superheated magma that would give us a magma churn signal that would tell us how strong this seismograph is. Typically, what we found with these seismograms is that the agencies turn them down to about 25% of real world. Anywhere from 23 to 25% of real world. Meaning, these signals, whether it be seismic signals, or whether it be vertical lines without any dot in the middle, which would be steam signals, meaning steam's being released from the magma inside the volcano. And we see that over on the red line to the right, center right. We see a vertical line without a dot in the middle of it. A vertical line with a dot is a clear indicator of an earthquake or a tremor. Oh, hold on. Yes, I do have a magma churn signal. I do. It's right here. This, folks, is unheard of. Okay? Look how tall this magma churn signal is. Typically, a magma churn signal would be indicated by anywhere from 23 or 24 lines high. This magma churn signal has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines high. 5 lines high. This may only give us 25% of real world, which means that earthquake up here last night on the blue line at 7:30 p.m. last night. Guess what? Just looking at it, it would be a 1.8, 1.9 tremor. However, it's larger. Why? You see that triangle going out to the right-hand side? That triangle is a secondary seismic signal, a secondary earthquake here. That triangle out to the right side of that earthquake indicates the secondary wave of that earthquake. Lasted about 30 seconds, which means, together with that the size of that magma churn signal and looking at this earthquake, multiply it times 4. If we multiply it times 4, all of a sudden, folks, we have a 2.5, 2.7 magnitude earthquake, a minor earthquake. A 2.5 to 2.7 minor earthquake, just that seismic indicator alone. And you can see another one down on the blue line to the right, center, above or below that. This happened at about 10:34 last night. Small tremor, it indicates, but we have a magma churn signal that says that this seismograph that's recording this information is only turned up to it's turned down actually to only 25% of real world. So that second earthquake in blue is also a 2.0, 2.2, 2.3 earthquake. Then we have other tremors here, as well as that magma churn signal. Guess what? Guess what? Glacier Peak is active, isn't it? There's other earthquakes here that appear as tremors, but they're probably 2.0 earthquakes. There are a lot of tremors here. Please don't misunderstand me. There are a ton of tremors here. However, they've done us a misdeed by turning that down to show only 25% of real world. That's just wrong. That's just wrong. Okay, let's continue. I'm going to go south to Mount Rainier. Now, folks, I don't have a lot of time left here. I may have 40 minutes left, maybe a little bit less than that, to give you this information. But I want to instill in you a feeling of urgency. A feeling of urgency, and this is real. Okay? I'm going to show you two seismograms coming from Mount Rainier. This one is Camp Muir on the south side, the southern flank of Mount Rainier. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the top of it. This seismogram began recording information just after midnight. You can see 000 hours last night. That's midnight last night. Look what happened here. Before that time, they turned the seismograph off. And it had been off here at Mount Rainier since 10 p.m. last night. 2 hours and a little more than that, 2 hours and about 2.5 minutes, nothing was recorded. Why? Why did they turn off the Rainier seismograph? I want to know, inquiring minds want to know. But it was turned on just after midnight last night. Look at the tremors here. Look at the tremors. Then after 3 a.m. on the right hand side, you see an earthquake. You see 3 o'clock in the morning on the left hand side on that same line. It's a dark blue line. 3 a.m. this morning, we go over here. This would be about 3:12 a.m. this morning. It shows here, if we knew nothing else, it shows here maybe a 2.5 earthquake. But I believe this was larger as well. This is probably close to a 3.0 earthquake. Because we know for a fact they've turned these seismographs way down. A 3.0 earthquake at Mount Rainier. Look at what else we have here. Look what else we have here. Just after 5 a.m. this morning. You can see 5 a.m. over on the right hand side. It says 0500, 0500 hours, 5 a.m. Right before that, we can see us having tremors here. Why? Minor tremors and earthquakes. Why? Because they have indicated here on the seismogram that something's going on. Seismographs record the activity. Even though the seismograph has been turned way down, it was still registering activity because the activity was stronger than the turn down. Then they turned it up slightly, and look what happened. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, about 5 o'clock in the morning, all of a sudden we have strong seismic activity. We don't see it VLF because they refuse to give us a VLF channel to look at Mount Rainier at this point in time. They have in the past, but now they're not. But you can see here, you can see magma pulse signals. Magma pulse, P-U-L-S-E. That is, each horizontal line here is activity at the volcano for 15 minutes. The lines may begin very thin and then get thicker and get thinner again and get thicker again. That's called a magma pulse signal. Here, just after 5 a.m., the magma pulse signals get thicker, and we have more and more seismic events happening, meaning vertical lines going off the horizontal lines. Some vertical lines would indicate tremor activity. Other vertical lines would indicate minor earthquakes. And that's what we're seeing here. Look at all that. Look at all the magma coming into Mount Rainier. Look down here on this dark blue line here. This is after 1711, 5:11 p.m. this afternoon. 5:11 p.m. this afternoon when I pulled this seismogram. Look at this. That's at least a 2.0 earthquake, if not larger. Okay, this is at Mount Rainier. I told you that that one earlier could have been a 3.0 right there on the right-hand side center. We have been having a lot of earthquakes here at Mount Rainier, caused by magma coming into that magma chamber at the volcano. Now, I want to show you something else before we continue with these seismograms. Okay? I'm going to keep this here. Remember this. Mount Rainier is busy. All of the volcanoes are busy. Okay? Let's go over to the USGS map. This is a USGS seismogram, guys. I just showed you. If it's red, it indicates it's the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network seismogram. This one's blue. It's a USGS seismogram. So let's go look at the USGS map. I just love this. I just love doing it. Folks, these volcanoes are active. Don't let anybody fool you. These volcanoes are very, very, very active. Okay? It bugs me sometimes that they're so active. But I'm telling you guys, there's something wrong with what's been going on. I got the wrong one. What's going on? Right here. Have they done it to us again? It looks like they have. Okay. I'm going to have to fix this. It'll only take me a second. It bugs the crap out of me where I can get things set up and USGS screws it up. Let me take down my banner here. Let me bring this back to where it was before. Let's go over here on the US map. You notice those earthquakes off the coast of Oregon right here? They're on the Blanco fracture zone. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay? Let's go over here to Mount Rainier. You can already see something happen at Mount Rainier today. Right down the proverbial center of the volcano. Right down the summit of the volcano. Look at this. This is a minus 0.0 earthquake. 0.0 is usually a surface quake. This was not at the surface. Number one. This seismic event was 0.3 miles deep. 0.3 miles deep, a quarter of a mile, about 1,500 feet down. How tall is Mount Rainier? Guess what, guys? This seismic event occurred in the magma channel of Mount Rainier. Inside the magma channel just below the summit of Mount Rainier. 1,500 feet down. It was not a surface quake. It was not a surface quake. They can yell and scream, oh, it was a surface quake. I just showed you it's not. Okay? That's number one. It's not a surface at all. It happened deep inside the volcano. 1,500 feet down. Just to the northwest of there. This is Carbonado, Washington. This is in the foothills of Mount Rainier. Guess what? A 0.6 tremor here. Carbonado, Washington is also in the foothills. I can pull up the seismogram from Carbonado right now. I guarantee you there's more than a 606.0 microquake. This is also not a microquake. It's a lot stronger than that. Guaranteed. So there is activity at Mount St. Helens. I just got through showing you. Now, here is Mount St. Helens. Remember this, okay? Let's go back here. To Mount Rainier. What do we have happen here? They told us that there's been tremors there, right? Surface quakes, right? There's a lot more than that happening. You can see it here. Magma infill coming into the volcano, and it's very heavy. A lot of magma. You can see it here. There's more than a 0.6 tremor here. Regardless of what USGS says, it's more than one. They don't show it on the map, do they? That earthquake just early this morning, 3:11 this morning, 3:11 in the morning. Sorry, they don't show it. That's an earthquake. That's definitely an earthquake. They don't want to admit what's going on here. Now, throughout the rest of this seismogram today, let me briefly show this to you. Look what happens. Just after 12 noon, things calm down a little bit. We still see magma, but less of it. We still have tremors and microquakes here. Okay? You can see it. But there's more going on at Mount Rainier than they want to tell us. Sorry, USGS, the cat's out of the bag. The cat's out of the bag, USGS. I wish they'd appoint me because I'd make sure this never happened again. This is ridiculous. A major volcano in the Cascade Mountain chain near Seattle ready to erupt. Heaven forbid they told anybody in Seattle about it. People would be bouncing off the walls if they knew how close this volcano was to possibly erupting. Let's go over to Mount St. Helens. I can't wait to show you this. I really can't wait to show you this. I want to show you first Mount St. Helens East Dome. This is a seismogram from Mount St. Helens East Dome. This seismograph is a box sitting on top of the summit of Mount St. Helens. As you can see, Mount St. Helens has been having some earthquakes today, haven't they? A bunch of earthquakes. Up at the top here. This is yesterday evening. Just before actually, this is at 7:32 p.m. last night. This is at least a 3.5, 4.0 at Mount Rainier. A 3.5 to 4.0 earthquake at Mount Rainier. You can see it. You can see this one. There are a bunch of other tremors here. Absolutely. There's also some other earthquakes, as you see by that red one down here that looks like it's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch tall. Okay? That happened after 0015 hours. Just after 12, I want to say 12:18 a.m. this morning. It looks to me be about a 2.8 earthquake. A 2.8 earthquake. Then we come down here and we see a lot more tremors, don't we? Then we see another larger earthquake here. This is after 4:40 a.m. this morning. That's at least a 3.0 earthquake. You see that yellow triangle out to the right hand side? That triangle says that this earthquake had a seismic secondary wave. You see the first wave, the primary wave, and you see this earthquake hitting several times together here. Sorry, I hiccuped. You see how thick this earthquake is. Several other seismic events happen after the initial 3.0. Then we have a secondary wave in that triangle to the right. That triangle is a secondary wave that lasted probably close to 30 seconds. That's why I can say this is at least a 3.0 earthquake. Now, about 3.5 minutes later, we have another earthquake. Normally I would say this is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, but we know now that this seismograph has been turned way down. Folks, this is probably close to a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Again, look at that triangle going out to the right of that secondary wave. Again, this could have been maybe a 3.0 as well. We have several of these, don't we? We have this magma churn signal here. I want to show you something, guys. Again, magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this seismogram shows us it's 50% of real world. 50% real world. So let's take this earthquake that happened just after 4:11 a.m. this morning and multiply it times 2. This is at least a 4.5 earthquake. This earthquake that happened at 4:11 a.m. this morning is really a 4.0 to 4.4, 4.5 earthquake. So now we've had another 4.5 or larger earthquake here at Mount St. Helens in the Cascade Mountain range. What have we said about 4.5 earthquakes or larger? Anything larger than 4.5, what have we said about it? Those people that have been with this channel from the beginning know why. They know what we talk about, these magma churn signals. We have a 4.5 earthquake here. Anytime we have a Cascadia megathrust earthquake happening, and yes, it's going to happen, we usually have at least 2 4.5 earthquakes close together. Could be the same day, it could be several days apart, but not more than a week or so apart. Here's one of them right here. A 4.5 magnitude earthquake today at Mount Rainier. Actually, I'm sorry, not today, last night. 4:11. It's on the blue line. It's not 4:11. It's 4:40 a.m. this morning on this blue line. A 4.5 earthquake, and another 3 after that. 3 minutes later. We have this magma churn signal that says that this seismogram is 50% real world. And look at those lines out to the right. Those lines out to the right of that magma churn signal are steam coming from Mount Rainier. Those are steam signatures coming from Mount Rainier. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water, guys. Okay? That's how we get steam at volcanoes. Now, I've shown you how strong that volcanic signature was. It's big. You see some other smaller seismic signatures, but look at this one over on the right hand side. It's another big one, folks. This one happened right before, I want to say 8:15 this morning. Actually, right before 8:30 a.m. On that red line, it indicates this happened at 8:14 and some seconds. Say 8:14 and 50 seconds. We have another 4.0 earthquake. Another 4.0 earthquake. And then tremors after that, this afternoon. That's serious. That's pretty serious. Mount St. Helens having earthquakes. This is Mount Rainier. But Mount St. Helens is also having earthquakes. Let's keep going here. Let's go to Mount St. Helens, guys. How about that one? I want to show you Mount St. Helens, Elk Ridge first. Look at this. This is a USGS seismogram brought out by the United States Geological Survey. Up at the top, over on the left-hand side, meaning that top line there on the left-hand side. That is midnight. Before that, the seismograph had been turned off. It was not recording anything. The first time it recorded anything is just after midnight last night, early this morning. You can see these horizontal lines. They're very thin. You can see some horizontal lines that get thicker and get thinner again. Again, those are magma pulse signals indicating magma coming into the volcano. And then the signal dies off, less magma comes in, heavier magma dies off with less magma coming in. That's how it goes here. Then after 3:45 a.m. this morning, you see a time period of about 8 to 10 minutes here on that line, that horizontal line. You see the same indication, magma pulse signals. The lines get thicker and get thinner again. On that first thicker line here, you see what appears to be a blob of magma. A blob of magma. You see vertical lines before and in that ball of magma, that glob. That glob is magma coming into the magma chamber, and it's fracturing rock, causing a minor tremor here. Then it stops and gets a lot less, then it starts in again. And it lasts for nearly 3 minutes. It's not as strong as this first one, but it's getting there. Then you see a lot of other thin lines here. You see what is indicated below that. Just below that, after 5 a.m. this morning, this is about 5:03 a.m. this morning, we have another 2.0 to 2.8 earthquake. That thin line there is at least a 2.0, 2.8 earthquake. Because this seismogram has been turned down so far down, it's not funny. Okay? Then we come down here to 8 a.m. this morning. You see vertical lines with curlicues on them. Vertical lines with curlicues indicates steam being released from Mount St. Helens. Steam being released from Mount St. Helens, right? 67% of all magma is steam. That's why steam can be released from the volcano. You see tremors and earthquakes all over Mount St. Helens. We jump down here to near the middle of this seismogram. We see a magma churn signal. Again, we wonder how strong this seismogram is. Let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines high. 7 out of 24 lines high. This is a little less than 30%, about 26% of real world. You also see those vertical lines going off to the side of that magma churn signal. Steam again. Steam. So any seismic activity that we see on this seismogram here, it would be 3 times the amount of signal it is. If it seems to be a short signal, we multiply it times 3 in this case. We can kind of come out approximately where that seismic signal is. What is the true signal strength? Further down here, over here in the left middle, we have on the dark blue line here, we have a lot of magma that came in here, don't we? Okay, this was just after 4 p.m. Pacific time here. Just about 4:03 p.m. Pacific time. We have tremors, and it builds up to what we might think would be more tremors. However, this is an earthquake. This is probably close to a 2.8 earthquake. Look how long it lasts. This lasts nearly a minute and a half. Then off to the right, it lasts another 30 seconds. Okay? The secondary wave lasts about 30 seconds. So that tells us another issue. It was larger than they're portraying it. If we just look at it for itself, it could be just a tremor, but it's not. Multiply this times 2.5. Okay? This is close to a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Minor earthquake right there. Minor earthquake. Look what's happened the rest of the afternoon today. Just supposedly tremors. So we've had earthquakes and tremors here at this volcano. Okay? This happens to be Mount St. Helens. That's Elk Ridge seismogram. Elk Ridge seismogram. Well, guess what, guys? There's another one. And I love to show this off to you. This just does my heart good. Okay? Let's go over to another seismograph that's on the summit of the volcano. This happens to be September low. This is on the summit of Mount St. Helens. Look what this is showing us. This is again from but Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Again, we're seeing a bunch of tremors here. This again is at the summit. Look what we're seeing. We see a bunch of tremors, don't we? Vertical lines with dots in them are tremors. Longer ones are earthquakes here. Look at these ones this afternoon. Look at these ones this afternoon in the center of this seismogram right here. This top one in the center here, it's not at the top of the seismogram, but it's a second large earthquake to the center here. The largest one there. Okay? It covers quite a few lines, right? If we think about this, guys, what happened to the seismogram? Showing us maybe 26% of the world. That means this earthquake here was probably a 3.0 earthquake. It's a long vertical line here with a dot in it. It's not very wide at all. It's just one single line. One primary jolt. 3.0 earthquake at Mount St. Helens. Then below that, that's a tremor. Over to the below that to the right. on that blue line. That's just a tremor. The others here are microquakes. Microquakes. Now, this is at September low, guys. This is at September low. Now, I want to show you another seismogram coming from September low. It just happens to be the VLF seismogram, the HHN channel from Mount St. Helens. Guess what it's going to show? Look at this. It's showing plenty of magma coming into the magma chamber today. It started off last night just after 8 p.m. Look over on the left-hand side at 20 hours, 20 hours, 20 hours. That's 8 p.m. Okay? Prior to that, it just barely shows any activity at all. Very small, tiny VLF waves. Then all of a sudden, just after 8 p.m., these waves get huge. A large amount of magma coming into Mount St. Helens. And that lasted for how long? Let's look at this. That amount of magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount St. Helens lasted till after 10 a.m. 10 a.m. this morning. From 8 last night to 10 a.m. this morning. 14 hours. 10 hours today and 4 hours from yesterday. 10 hours of a lot of magma coming in. 10 hours of magma coming in. Then why does that other seismogram showing almost nothing? It shows some activity during that same time period, but very little. Again, they're doctoring the seismogram. That amount of magma on that other seismogram proves there should have been more tremors and earthquakes here in the same time period than they are showing on this seismogram. So again, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is lying to us. They're lying through their teeth. It's insane. It's literally insane. Now, I want to drop over to Mount Hood. I want to go to Mount Hood, and this is Lamberson Butte. Look at this. This is Lamberson Butte at Mount Hood. Look what we have here. Just after midnight again, the seismogram is recording information here. Look at all this activity at Mount Hood early this morning. That's a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. And yes, there are vertical lines. You can hardly see them here going through those lines where there's heavy duty magma coming into the magma chamber. Those are tremors and or earthquakes that hit this volcano last night. Then it calms down and we see very small magma pulse signals, meaning very little magma coming into the magma chamber. However, there's always a however. Just after 9:30 this morning, we see more magma pulse signals here. Then after 9:40 a.m. this morning, look here. Red lines, computer generated. Computer generated, guys. Those red lines indicate seismic activity. The first red line, it's a small, probably a 2.5 earthquake. The second one is longer, 2.8, 3.0 possibly. This seismogram has been turned way down, probably 23, 24% of the real world. So we have some earthquakes. Why do I think that's a 3.0 earthquake? Look out to the right. Look at that triangle out to the right. That secondary wave lasted almost a full minute. The secondary wave lasted a full minute, then it went out into a body wave. The body wave also indicates that that earthquake was stronger. The secondary wave indicates what they have here is not correct. This was at least a 3.0 earthquake, if not larger. This was at Mount Hood. Look what they're showing us the rest of the day. Absolutely nothing. Just some tiny tremors here. Mount Hood, ladies and gentlemen. Mount Hood. So we know for a fact that this earthquake was stronger than that. We know for a fact that the seismogram has been altered. Let's look at another seismogram at Mount Hood. Okay? I want to show you this one. This one is Mount Hood Timberline. The last one was Palmer Lift, which is up towards the center of the volcano, on the south side of the volcano. Palmer Lift is on the south side, so is Timberline. Timberline here is at almost the lowest part of the mountain. If you have been studying this volcano, as I have for quite a while, at Timberline there's a camp called Government Camp. That's where this seismograph is located, at Government Camp. There's a huge parking lot there. There's a small building there. Government Camp. What are we seeing here? What are we seeing, guys? Look at this magma last night. This seismogram started recording at 10 p.m. last night. Look what we have here. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber here. Magma pulse signals and vertical lines indicating magma fracturing rock inside the volcano. Now, they either turn the seismograph even further down, or they just barely turn it down, because we still have magma pulse signals after 3 a.m. this morning. Very tiny magma pulse signals. They only lasted about 3.5–4 minutes, and they were done. And then on the next line after that, which would be 3:30 this morning, on that light blue line, only 2 very tiny magma pulse signals, and separated with nothing, which means they may have turned off this seismograph for about a minute, maybe a minute and a quarter. Further on, later this morning, just after 7 a.m. this morning, look what we have here. More magma infill coming into the volcano. Then it's turned down again. Why do I think it's turned down? We barely have any indication of any kind of information coming from the seismograph. Seismogram shows a couple, 3 small tremors, microquakes, if you will. Then all of a sudden, this afternoon, this is after 1300 hours this afternoon, which is 3 p.m., look what happens. All of a sudden, the amount of magma activity increases substantially. At 3:15 on that dark line on the left-hand side, that is 4 minutes of magma activity. 4 minutes of magma pulse activity, incoming magma into the volcano, and a few tremors mixed in there. Vertical lines through that magma coming in. Magma causing fracturing of rock. You also see a lot more magma coming in now. Okay? Look at that. 1500 after that. 3 p.m. on. All evening long. More and more magma coming into the magma chamber, and in fact, if you look closely, some of these lines have been or completely taking apart the seismograph. meaning there's hardly any white to show in the center left side of this seismograph. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. You see these vertical lines, which are tremors, here at Government Camp. Nobody can say Mount Hood isn't alive. Mount Hood is alive and well. With that kind of magma, we could be seeing an activity, an event here at Mount Hood. Now, Laura Marie was at Mount Hood yesterday. She said there was a small cloud hanging around near the center of the mountain. A high pressure system, air pressure, pushing that steam cloud down around the center of the volcano. She did not see any more steam coming up from the summit. All the steam was at a lower level. The air pressure pushed it down. But you see quite a bit of activity today here at Mount Hood. Now, I'm not going to show you too many more, but I am going to show you two. One at Newberry Volcano, right here. Newberry Volcano is south of Mount St. Helens. I'm sorry, not St. Helens, south of Mount Hood. This is in Oregon. This is in Oregon. Look what we have here. Again, just after midnight, they turn the seismograph back on. It immediately starts recording magma pulse signals. The seismograph has been turned way down here. We see earthquakes and tremors here. Earthquakes and tremors. A lot of magma, rock fracturing that's causing these rocks to fracture, causing earth movement here. They keep the seismograph turned down, don't they? Look at this. Small, minor magma pulse signals. Okay? Small, minor magma signals. We have a couple small tremors here. Look what happens this afternoon, this evening. Look at all this magma here. This is crazy, guys. This is crazy. Now, I'm going to stop here for a second. Storm Rider has a question. Says, I hope this isn't a dumb question. There are no dumb questions, Steam Rider, or Storm Rider. Has there been any other volcanic eruption in the United States other than Mount St. Helens in the past 200 or so years? Yes. Yes. Mount Lassen erupted in 1917. Mount Lassen to the south over in Northern California erupted in 1917. Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980 and again in 2003 or 4, whatever it was. I don't remember exact dates and times of the second eruption. But yes, here in the United States mainland, we've had 2 earthquakes in the past 200 years. 2 major volcanic eruptions in the past 200 years. Not earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Okay? Not a dumb question at all. That's a very good question. But folks, here in Newberry, you see a lot of magma coming into the volcano, and you also see earthquakes. Over on the left-hand side here. And actually, it started happening on the right here, on the lighter blue line here above it. Look at all that magma coming into the magma chamber here. Okay? This happened after 7 o'clock this evening. Look at that. Okay? There's more, guys. One more. That was Newberry. Actually, I'm going to show you 2 more. I'm going to show you Sisters, and I'm also going to show you Crater Lake. We'll talk about California tomorrow. Let's go over to Sisters Volcano. Look at this, guys. Sisters Volcano. You can see tremors. You can see this magma pulse signals going on. Magma coming into Sisters Volcano. There's 3 volcanoes. It's not just one. Sisters Central, Sisters North, and Sisters South. 3 separate volcanoes here at the Sisters Volcanic Complex. There's only one seismograph there, and that's this here. This is the seismogram that we're showing from Sisters Volcano. Look at that. That is a lot of magma. That is a lot of magma. Over here with those red lines that you see center left here. Okay? When did those signals come in? Let's take a closer look. These signals happened just after 3:30 this afternoon. 1330 hours, which is, 1:30 this afternoon. 13:30 this afternoon is 1:30. This happened about 1:33 this afternoon. These are earthquakes. The red lines are indicative of the computer putting out the red lines, calling for the seismologist to take a closer look at it. That's all those red lines are for. This was a much larger earthquake. If we were to say that this seismogram was right, and the seismograph had recorded it correctly, it would just be a minor tremor. But this seismograph has been turned way down. This probably was a 2.5, 3.0 earthquake. Two of them, within about a minute of each other. You see magma coming into the magma chamber on both of these events here, side by side. There's a red line indicating that the computer is trying to get the seismologist's attention. That was indeed a larger earthquake. And they're trying to tell the seismologist, hey guy, look at this. So Sisters Volcano is getting to the extent that they really need to pay close attention to it. About a year or so ago, they put up a eruption watch on Sisters Volcano and Mount Hood because they had such activity. It's getting to that point again. Here's Sisters Volcano. One more. Let's go south to South Central Oregon to Crater Lake. Crater Lake. Look at this, guys. This is Crater Lake, Cleetwood Cove, on the northeast side of the volcano. Crater Lake is a huge alpine lake at the top of a volcano. The top of the volcano. Probably millions of gallons of water in that lake. When the volcano last erupted, there was a caldera, a floor of the volcano. And after the eruption, the lava hardened. And groundwater came in, as well as other rain and other moisture, snow and such. Now there's a huge lake there. We of Liberty and Freedom, Wolf, short, gave us another $5 super chat. She gave us a $10 super chat earlier today, another $5 super chat now. We appreciate that, Wolf. God bless you for that. She says, I know they say that Mount McLaughlin is dormant, but I thought I'd ask if you have any info on it. I live very close to it, that's why I'm asking. No, they do not have a they do not have a seismograph machine that would give us any information on Mount McLaughlin. I'm sorry about that. Neither Pacific Northwest Seismic Network or USGS has any machines near Mount McLaughlin. But I'm telling you this, every one of these volcanoes, every one of them, whether they want, the USGS or anybody else wants to admit the truth to it or not, it doesn't matter anymore. Every one of these volcanoes is active, including Mount McLaughlin. We have seen minor tremors and minor earthquakes around the area near Mount McLaughlin. Not necessarily at the volcano, but around the area. That I can confirm. This would tell me that they have something going on at Mount McLaughlin. But again, they don't have any instruments there to tell us for sure or not. Okay? But it has been some seismic information at Mount McLaughlin. But here at Crater Lake, this afternoon and this morning, look at the activity here. A large amount of magma and earthquakes all over the place. Okay? Isn't that wild? Wolf says, I appreciate your answer. Thank you. No, it's my opportunity. It's my pleasure to tell you what's going on. That's why we're here. We've been doing this for over 4 years, nearly 4.5 years. It's my pleasure to be able to help you and everybody here. We have people that live here, live in the Oregon area, in Washington, in southwestern British Columbia. We have people that live all over. They deserve to know what's going on in their states, in their cities, and their towns. Guess what? It's magma activity at volcanoes. There's also a lot more going on than that. Again, briefly, let me show you the USGS map, because it's not just here at the volcanoes where we have activity. Today, right here, on the Blanco fracture zone. The Blanco fracture zone, folks, is this line that runs from the Gorda Ridge here on the right that goes straight down here. That's the Gorda Ridge. It lines up with the northeastern part of the the Blanco fracture zone. And you see a minor earthquake here. It's a 3.1 small earthquake. A 3.1 small earthquake right here on the lower part of the Blanco fracture zone, just north and west of the Gorda Ridge. Then we go further up the Blanco fracture zone to this earthquake here. This came out as a 4.4 earthquake. It's been downgraded to a 4.1. Okay? This is just off the coast of Brandon, Oregon. Okay? I had a discussion with our dear friend Rob52. He is the one that first saw this afternoon. And I looked at it and I'm going, oh my gosh, look at this. More activity in the Cascadia megathrust earthquake region. The region. These two earthquakes are on the Blanco fracture zone. Up at the top left-hand side of the Blanco fracture zone, we have the Juan de Fuca fault. It's that zigzag line here that runs all the way up here to Queen Charlotte Island, which is right here. Queen Charlotte Island is right here. The Juan de Fuca fault runs up to Queen Charlotte Island, doesn't it? The Cascadia megathrust earthquake zone. The Cascadia subduction zone runs from the Queen Charlotte Island all the way south down the coast off of Vancouver, Canada. Vancouver Island runs down the coast on the west side of Seattle here, and that water inlet into Washington, what is it called? It's called the Strait of Juan de Fuca. But the Cascadia subduction zone runs parallel to the coast all the way south down here to Northern California. And they've since taken this down. There's another earthquake that was right here. Okay, it was right here, just barely west of the Cascadia subduction zone, near what they call the Triple Junction. The Cascadia subduction zone comes down here to the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment goes out here to sea and links up with the Gorda Ridge out here, right here. See the Gorda Ridge going north here. The Gorda Escarpment comes out here, goes back towards the coast of California. It links up with the Cascadia subduction zone, doesn't it? It also links up with what? The San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. Right here, just west of that junction of the triple junction, we had a 2.5 earthquake here. Off the coast of Petrolia, California, they've taken it down now. So we've had 3 earthquakes here. 3 earthquakes here today. 1 down here and 2 up on the Blanco fracture zone today. Right up there on the Blanco fracture zone, in the Cascadia subduction zone region. We've also had these other earthquakes here in Oregon. Right here, this is Lowell, Oregon. Lowell, Oregon, 0.8 microquake. Further up the coast, in Oregon, this is in Washington here, this is supposedly an explosion. Now you guys know what I think of USGS saying there's an explosion. Look here at Mount St. Helens. We showed you earthquakes and tremors also on Mount St. Helens, didn't we? And guess what? Look at this. Just north of Mount St. Helens, this is a 0.6 microquake. Really? Right down the barrel, right down through the summit, just below the summit of Mount St. Helens today. What is this? A 0.6 microquake. It is 1/3 of a mile deep, 1,500 feet deep. That is inside the volcano itself. Now, folks, we saw tremors and microquakes and earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens today, didn't we? They also show another earthquake right here, over on the southwestern side of the mountain, of the volcano. This, they say, is a 0.1 microquake as well. This would be at near government camp. Okay? So we've had all these tremors and earthquakes that we talked about at the volcanoes, and also earthquakes off the coast of California, off the coast of Oregon, on the Blanco fracture zone. A lot of earthquakes today, right? Oh yeah, absolutely we have. Now, we had an earthquake over here near Tonga today, about 200 miles off the coast of Hihi-Fo, Tonga. It was a 5.3 earthquake right about in here. A 5.3 earthquake in the Tongan region right here. Right on the seismic zone, the Tongan Ridge here, the trench. Okay? A 5.3 here today. They've taken it down. They've taken down other 4s and 5s over here in the Kermadec Islands. They've taken off all earthquakes whatsoever down here in New Zealand. They don't show a darn thing, and there are. There's 3s and 4s down here in New Zealand. They should have shown them. Now, folks, more. Look at this. Papua New Guinea. This is a 4.3 earthquake, 4.3, 4.5 earthquake. Guess what? They reduced it from what it was. This was a 4.8, 4.9. It's taken down to 4.5. Okay? You don't see anything else going on here. Nothing in central Indonesia. Nothing in the Philippines. They're lying about that. There's plenty. Over here near Sumatra, this is a 4.8 earthquake. A 4.8 earthquake just off the coast of Sumatra. This happens to be a 4.5 aftershock. A 4.5 aftershock. This, folks, here, this 4.8, this was a 5.1 that was downgraded. And for us to have a 4.5 aftershock here, this was on land. A moderate earthquake over here on land in Sumatra, right here. There's plenty going on, but again, the agency won't tell us. Nothing. It's like they don't want us to know exactly what happened. Nicaragua, guys, right here. And then I'm going to close this thing up. Just off the coast of Mexico. Actually, it wasn't Nicaragua at all. It was southern Mexico. I've been telling you guys that we're going to have a very strong earthquake here. Down here, just next to Guatemala, down here in southern Mexico, we have a 5.8, 6.0 earthquake. I believe this was larger than a 5.8. I believe it was at least a 6.0 very strong earthquake down here, just on the barely border of southern Mexico and Guatemala today, right here. There's going to be heck to pay over this one. This happened on land. Okay? This very strong earthquake happened on land. Somebody was injured and there's going to be damage. Yes, it is in the mountains here in southern Mexico. But because that was such a strong quake, people that living in villages here, I'm sure there are people living down here, right here for example, they felt this earthquake. This is on the eastern foothills of these mountains here. A 5.8, 6.0 earthquake. And I will follow this up. I'll have more information on this tomorrow. But a 5.8 earthquake hit in the border region of Guatemala and southern Mexico today. That is a big deal. That is huge. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've discussed today? At all? Anything about the fires in Hawaii? Because we'll be back here to talk about the fires again tomorrow night, possibly by morning. Possibly as early as morning. Okay? Anybody have any questions here? Don Patoka just posted our locations where you can help us with donations. PayPal, we have our Hotmail PayPal location. It's not at hotmail.com. You don't have to worry about sending an email. It's at PayPal. It's at PayPal. We have 2 PayPal locations, one Hotmail address and one emergency management address. So you can do that. You can also reach us on Venmo. We have a Patreon account, but we have not kept it active because nobody has gone there in a long time. But PayPal and Venmo, you can also send us letters and cards with money stashed into cards and letters. Wrap it up so it's not seen from the outside of the envelope. Wrap it up and you can send it to us. A lot of people have. Now we have not received any contributions whatsoever in the mail in about 3 weeks now. I checked it Tuesday, just yesterday. All we got was that package from Nathan Hester. I love the packages, but I would also appreciate support for this channel. We have some bills due to keep this channel on the air. I'd appreciate any and all support that you guys can give us. Wolf just gave us a $10 super chat this morning, another $5 this afternoon. We greatly appreciate that. And God bless her for that. God bless all of you that do this for us. I know it's a pain. Money's hard to come by. But we definitely do appreciate all of your hard work in keeping us on the air. Folks, I want to leave you with a message before we get out of here. Okay? Julie Healy says, Brad 10 here. In California, we broke. I understand that. I get it. Everybody's having hard times getting hold of money. I'm going to go over to Amos. Okay? Amos chapter 3, verses 12, 13, 14, and I'm even going down to verse 15. Starting with verse 12. Thus saith the Lord, as the shepherd taketh out of the mouth of the lion 2 legs, or a piece of an ear, so shall the children of Israel be taken out that dwell in Samaria in the corner of a bed, and in Damascus in a couch. Hear ye and testify in the house of Jacob, saith the Lord God, the God of hosts, that in the day that thou shalt visit the transgressions of Israel upon him, I will also visit the altars of Bethel, and the horns of the altar shall be cut off and fall to the ground. Verse 15. And I will smite the winter house with the summer house, and the houses of ivory shall perish, and the great houses shall have an end, saith the Lord. Folks, the Lord's not happy. The Lord wasn't happy with the children of Israel then, and he's even less happy with us now. Things are happening. We need to make sure that we are prepared, for we are in the last days. We see troubles and tribulation happening everywhere, and this is not the only ones. It's not just earthquakes, it's everything. And I hope in the coming couple days we'll be able to talk more about that. I have a lot more information to share with you. There's a lot going on. Make sure your house is clean. Make sure your house and your body are temples of God. Okay? Make sure you're ready for the coming of the Savior, the Lord, the Savior of the world. He is coming. He is coming. Okay, I hope you have a great evening and a better tomorrow. Like I said, if anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, guys, take care. God be with you till we meet again. Enjoy yourselves. We'll be back here tomorrow evening, just about 1800 hours, 6 p.m. with another edition of Emergency Management Associates. God bless those people over in Hawaii right now. They need the Lord's blessings this day and probably always. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side.